Hi there everyone. So this is a bit of a weird video, but I hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy making it, because it is time to come clean that I do have a bit of an obsession with torches and batteries and off-grid power sources and things. And it seems like for the first time in my life that this is actually going to be semi-useful. So I thought I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to make a video and just share some of my nerdiness, I guess. So some people are, joking aside, feeling quite anxious about the possibility of blackouts and so on. And I'm not going to speak about how likely or unlikely any of that is, but it wouldn't hurt at all just to do some very simple things just to alleviate some of that anxiety. I know a lot of my friends who have children who have special needs, for example, just say, oh, they wouldn't be able to handle it if they couldn't use their devices and all this kind of stuff. And, I totally get that. So there are some really simple things that you could at least do to make sure that that wasn't a problem, that you'd have some light and you'd have some power. So I want to start with the most important thing. And so if you want to just stop the video after this, then at least I will have that covered. I think you need a source of light. Light is far more important than we realize. We just take it for granted because we turn on the light switch and light comes on. But obviously, and I'll touch on this a bit more later, in developing countries where they don't have light after the sun goes down, it massively affects everything. It completely cripples the economy because children can't learn, they can't do their homework if they can't see, and you can't work on anything intricate if you don't have a decent light source. So light is so important. So make sure you've got something that would just be able to provide light in a dark room. So I'm starting kind of from cheapest and working the way up. This is from Lidl, so this is kind of, on the cheap side. You can use this as a torch. You can use it as a kind of all-round lantern like this. That'll give you about 6 hours of light there. And it's also, if you just need a little bit more power, you can go and pull it out like this. And it's very useful for if you're trying to change a fuse or something, if you're in your attic or whatever, it does give you a really good source of light. But the most important thing is that's cheap. We're talking kind of £10 to £15, and it's rechargeable. You can charge it up USB-C there. It's got everything you need. You'd be daft not to have something like this in your house, and then you know that you've got a reliable light source when you need it, and you could have up to 6 hours, plenty of light to see by, where you could read and you could, all huddle around that as a family. If you need something more sophisticated, I will come on to that in a minute, but that's basic. Another thing I suggest is, what's the difference between something like this? Well, this is again just a really basic light. It's cheap, but it takes standard batteries, AA batteries. So if you can mix it up, so this one is rechargeable, you'd recharge it via USB, which is great, really good to have those, good for the environment and so on. But have some things obviously that are just battery as well, so that you can stockpile batteries and you've got that as a backup power source. Okay, moving on to kind of more sophisticated things now. Now, I've got some things to show you here. They may not look much, but this is getting probably beyond the realms of what most people would ever kind of need. But if you're interested in it, there's a whole world out there of people for whom light is, essential as a kind of survival. Starting with this, Goal Zero, a great company. I think they're based in America. And as their name would suggest, they've been in this game for a while for environmental reasons. This is effectively just a 2,600 milliamp lithium battery with a light kind of built into it. You can see almost the shape of it. You might be able to see sort of inside it. It doesn't look like much, but this is actually an extremely sophisticated piece of kit. And we are now talking expensive. Okay, we're getting to the £30–40 kind of area for something like this. But it's got a lovely little light, and you probably won't appreciate here, but the difference is that this is a balanced light. So it's designed to be, whereas something like this is just harsh and very uncomforting. You could really quite happily sit with this and I have done, sit with this as a reading light, and it feels like candlelight. It feels like daylight to some degree, warm sunlight. It's a lovely light to sit by, and that's partly what makes it a more sophisticated piece of kit. The other thing is you can dim it right down if you've just got it on one side there. like this. We use this as a nightlight for Christiana. It will last like this for several days. It advertised over a week. And yes, I have tested that, and yes, it's true. So, you know, that's very, very small amount of light, but, you know, it's something. You would have a light as opposed to having no light if you needed it for extended periods. Now, that's what these much more sophisticated lanterns have in common. This is another Goal Zero. This is the Big Daddy. There's one in the middle as well that Christiana's got in her room. But again, this is extremely powerful if you need it to be. That will easily light up a whole room, but you can dim it to your desire. So if you put it on kind of the lowest level, again, it will last for up to a week, if not more, without you having to charge it. And it's got a battery level there, so you kind of, you know how much battery you've got left, and you can keep an eye on that. Built-in USB charger so that you can charge it very easily. And yes, it's been well used. As you can see, it's got some damage. Emergency light for some reason. But the most important feature of this is, now we're getting to the kind of the crux of the matter. What do you do if this is a long-term thing? I hope it certainly wouldn't be, but for some people, that's the reality is, you know, you might not have a power source, and you might not have a power source for a long time. So it's one thing if you can just quickly charge things up like this one. This one, however, does have a built-in dynamo. So if the worst came to the worst, you could charge up this, you could have light just by the power of your hands, and you can charge your phone from that USB there, and you would be able to have power for your phone and for your devices and stuff as well. So this is a kind of a unit that covers all. Again, we're talking pricey now. Now we're into the range of kind of £80 to £100, because these are sophisticated pieces of kit. These are not, you know, just little lights that you do for the crack. Moving on to another brand that's really important in this game. This is a BioLite, and again, it really doesn't look much, but it's it gives off a beautiful warm light. You can also it's got different features, this one as well, so you get different colors and stuff like that, but that's not important right now. Point is, again, like this, you've got that long battery life if you need it on the lowest setting. Again, this is ideal for like night lights and things. Be brilliant for camping, but it could, you know, it could genuinely be a comforting source of light if you needed it. If you were dealing with a genuine blackout, put it up to full power, you still get about 6 hours on it. It's quite a significantly sized battery in there. I think it's 6,400 milliamps. Like many of these, you can use the battery to charge your phone as well, charge your device, which, you know, could be important in an emergency. It doesn't have a dynamo or anything like that. But it is designed to be charged by solar, and the battery is optimized for that. I think it's a lithium iron phosphate battery, so they're kind of designed to be charged up effectively by solar power. So this is again, it doesn't look like much, but this would do you. This would do you just to replace the light in your house if you needed to. But you're now getting into the kind of more professional and pricey range. If you are really into this and you actually wanted to take this kind of seriously and think about kind of off-grid lighting solutions, well, then sticking with the same brand, you have something like this, which is the BioLite Smart Home 620 Plus. It's called 620 Plus because that describes the size of the battery or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's there's some random reason. But anyway, it's a crossover product, so it's used for caravans and things. But they sell these and use them in Western Kenya for, you know, families that literally have no power and that need an off-grid solution. So it has a solar panel. I have mine set up on my garage roof. And it has these 3 individual lights. So let me show you what that looks like. And it has a control unit. So here's your control unit. I'll just take out one of the lights, but there are 3. One of them also has a motion sensor. So the control unit, again, I love how this very retro because it's designed for being able to be used anywhere in the world. So it doesn't, it's deliberately got kind of USB, micro USB instead of USB-C or anything more modern. It's got your standard USB sockets. You've got your LCD display here. It tells you your date and time. It tells you how much battery you've got left. It tells you there's no solar power because there's no sun obviously, but the solar device also isn't plugged in. You've got a radio. It's off just now, but the FM radio works just fine. And you've got MP3. I won't play for you because I'll probably get copyright struck, but I've got some tracks on that just now that can be used. And it's also got a built-in light, which has 3 brightness settings. If I put that to that, it tells me how much battery. It says it's got 24 plus hours to empty. So again, it's one of these extremely efficient batteries and LED lights that would last for a long time if you needed to. But more so, you can actually plug in a light and you can set it up in a garage, in an attic or whatever. And Christiana, do you want to help me with this? Can you flick the switch?
I have something big.
Yeah.
Okay.
And flick the switch. And there we go. And again. A bit brighter. And again. So it's got 3 brightness settings. 1, 2, 3. And you can hang this up. And it provides, again, a really nice light. These it's what makes these devices much more expensive than you'd expect, but it's because it's extremely high grade equipment that's being used, including the LEDs. They're very high quality LEDs and very high quality batteries, which are getting quite scarce at the moment just because there's such a high demand. So you do have options like that, which would be a kind of more permanent off-grid solution if you wanted to have something like that set up. So just for your peace of mind, and that you would know that you had a light even if the power went off. But you may be thinking, well, how would I charge all these things? Well, that's actually much simpler than you'd expect. I got this one second hand for, I think it was only just like 30 quid or something. You get something like this.
What could I have? Daddy.
Are you helping? Yeah, I'll get you hot chocolate in a second. So this is just something that is like used in offices and the like, and it can power internet routers and computers for a short amount of time, just so that you don't lose all your data and stuff. But I've got it plugged into the TV here. You can see, definitely just plugged straight into the TV. No trickery. So if I turn on the TV. Ta-da. Okay, so the TV at the moment is being powered by this massive battery here. Now, it wouldn't run your TV for very long. This TV is quite an efficient one, so it probably would run that for about 90 minutes. But obviously that's not going to save your life. What it would do is charge any of these devices many, many times over. 20, 30 times over probably. So, realistically, before you have to worry about solar power or winding your dynamo or any of that, I'll have the dinosaur in a minute, thanks, babes. You could just actually have a solution like that, and it would sort you out. Okay, thanks. That would sort you out for your power backup. So finally, obviously, so I think we've dealt with lanterns in some detail. That is kind of the important thing. It's obviously worth just having EDC torches, everyday carry torches, with you as well. 2 important torches that I would recommend you have. Starting again, bottom of the range. You could get, I got this for free, so that's about as cheap as it gets. And it's a little, head torch. Boom. Extremely small, extremely light. This is a perfect example. It's got a wee red light, flashing red light for safety as well. Thank you, Christiana. This is very blue, so this is a kind of perfect example of what a cheap light looks like. It's just the quality of the light is never going to be as good as if you have a professional. Christiana, keep Baby Shark out just now, please.
See that? Tongue sticking out.
Uh-huh. sticking with head torches then, moving up the range a bit, something like a Nebo, really good make. I'm really impressed with what they're doing at the moment. They make cheap stuff, relatively cheap stuff, but it's still really good. That is a really good light, and it has different colors as well if you need them, which can be really useful. I find the kind of having different color options a really useful option if you are going in to try and look after children and you don't want to wake them up. So that can be really useful for that kind of thing. And that is rechargeable. Again, like the other things, you'd be able to charge that. Oh, it's just a tiny battery, and it probably 600 milliamp battery, so you'd be able to charge that hundreds of times. You'd be able to charge even something like this about 10 times from this. So charge that with your solar and then keep that going, for example, whatever your solution happens to be. The king of the head torches, this is back to Christiana, stop it please. Back to BioLite. So some people need proper reliable head torches. Again, these are not cheap. Now we're talking like 100 quid. I didn't pay 100 quid for it, but if you bought it new full price, it'd be like 100 quid. And you need something that's reliable if you're going to be going like fell running in the dark or something like that. So that's kind of the audience that this is built for. It also has a really interesting feature though where you can actually power it directly. So you could hook it up to a big battery and then just have it on through just powering it through a long micro USB cord. There's a really good light in this one, and it can be boosted up to 750 lumens, like so, which is really quite bright. It's very important to have a good quality head torch, I would say, because you want to be able to have your hands free. You want to be able to, if you were having to work on things, having to do repairs or something like that, you wouldn't want your to only have a torch that you had to hold in your hands. However, there is nothing wrong at all with a good torch that you can hold in your hands. So that's the final thing we'll talk about. Commercially available. This is an Energizer rechargeable one. Absolutely brilliant. Great light. It's got this special kind of bezeled lens here, so that it diffuses the light beautifully, so that the beam is a really useful beam. It's not all kind of broken. And it's just super simple, but again, rechargeable. You can charge it up easily, and great for the environment because you're not constantly changing batteries. And it's just fantastic. Not super cheap, but not super expensive either. Getting into the kind of not really commercially available, need special contacts. These are some Immolant torches, which have the capabilities of going to extreme brightness. If I show you this one, I'll boost it just for a second. It can only do this for about a minute before it overheats. But okay, yeah. That is very bright. That's brighter than the car headlight in a tiny little EDC torch. Might be worth, if you're a bit obsessed with these things, maybe you just want to have something like this for emergencies, just in case you did need a heck of a lot of light and you needed to be able to lay your hands on it very quickly in a scenario where the kind of more traditional lighting was not available. But for most people, that's probably way above and beyond. And as I say, you get an absolutely brilliant light for something like this. It's commercially available. It's not too expensive. So there's probably not much need to go much further than that. Okay, I think that's plenty. That's just a small section of my torch collection. I have been stockpiling torches since the 90s. I'm a bit obsessed with torches. It's time to come clean about that. But now seemed like a good a time as any just to, confess to this other side, this dark side, or bright side, if you like, of my character, that I am a bit obsessed with torches and lights. But maybe that can be helpful to some people. So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, or if you'd like to see any more of these things in a bit more detail and have a bit more rundown on the specs and stuff, then please just let me know in the comments. And I would be delighted, literally delighted, to do that for you. Thanks. Bye for now.